right, I want to call the Infrastructure Committee meeting to order for 11 November 25. Roll call, everybody is present. So we have a quorum, if we need any to vote on anything. Move on to public comments. No public comments tonight, amazingly. Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes? And if so, can I get, we got any issues with the minutes? And if not,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September 9th.
I'll second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Discussion action on tornado sirens. This was Lori's thing. She didn't say anything. I mean, last time she told me she wasn't going to be at the last meeting, and could we table it till the next meeting? And this time I didn't hear anything from her.
She's still traveling?
Possibly.
I don't know. She doesn't give me her schedule. Anybody want to talk about this, or want to table it till?
Well, I can at least let you know what Lori and I talked about, just for whatever it's worth. I know she was concerned that not everyone has. What am I trying to say? Not everyone has. What's that? Red? Code Red. Yeah, that actually the number of people that are signed up for it is, I don't know, 2,600 maybe. I can't remember. And so that there are a lot of people who do not have it, and that in the event of, a tornado or some severe weather thing, that she's concerned that there's no way for them to know, in particular for elderly folks. And so she just wanted to raise that as a discussion item, if we had any thoughts on whether it would be going back to having siren, or if there's another way to make sure that people will be notified, since that's the primary goal of that system.
All right, but I mean, we know that sirens are primarily for outdoors.
Right.
Okay, so you're talking about the elderly. Are they outdoors?
Well, except I always heard it in my house.
Right, but that's not what the sirens are for.
If I can just
I mean,
add,
if I'm right
maybe
next to the siren, I'll hear it in my house. Which I am right next to the siren, to be honest with you.
the numbers, there's a few numbers that stick in my head all the time, just because I have to deal with them. When I hear that 2,600 people utilize Code Red, that number doesn't shock me as much as it might, because I'm not thinking of it as population, I'm thinking of it as households. We have roughly 2,900 service addresses in Harvard. So, if one person per service address has Code Red, because multiple people probably aren't going to have it. Mm-hmm. But if one person per service address has that in Harvard, we're doing pretty good.
Is there a way to know what the coverage is, just to confirm that from a household standpoint?
I can check with the chief on that.
Okay. Because that might just be good data to share.
The last update that I have as of July 20th, 2019, at that time, there were 3,201 telephone numbers, 168 email addresses, 358 text numbers, and 9 TDD numbers. I imagine that those numbers have increased since 2019.
Okay.
We can ask the chief to pull a report for you to review.
Okay.
I do know that, I forgot the guy's name who runs the McHenry County FEMA, and what they've kind of experienced throughout let's call it the county towns. They have a couple things out there. You reach out to the people that make the radios to see if they're willing to offer, where it's a good gauging system for a municipality to say, depending on how many people want these for free or at a discounted cost, lets you know how important the issue is. Another thing that was interesting is they use digital outdoor sirens for all new subdivisions. So they have the subdivisions, install them, eventually they tie in to the rest of the city or the municipality, where anyone can use it also as general announcements. Huntley's got it, McHenry's got it. I work outdoor, it's nice, but the developer pays for all that. And it's clear as can be, and then, you know, with some inquiry, we're like, so how do you guys know where to put it? And they said, well, because things have advanced so much, if you get a developer to do it, they scout out the town, so basically it does, that developer is considered helping the population with a service that we all know is very expensive. If you put it in yourself, it's immense. But that's a couple options that may or may not interest the city to research. I mean, but if you're gonna go that far to see if you can get some radios, maybe the chief can look into the Ring company, get some Ring doorbells, and they usually have that in the communities where they get them free if you sign up for the police agreement. It's just stuff that's out there. Whether it works for us or not, I don't know. Working outside, we kind of do our due diligence because we're used to it. But I get it, some people get stuck. And it could be anyone, Public Works, somebody taking a walk, you know, but you are responsible for your own safety to some degree. But on that note too, how many sirens are still sitting in town that are decommissioned? Can we tear those down?
So the sirens remain decommissioned, but not removed. They are still in place because council needs to make a decision what they want to do. I think at the time that they were decommissioned, there was some consideration about maybe reinstituting them at a later date. So if you still had them, you could still utilize them when council felt like they could find the funding to be able to revamp the system. So the sirens themselves are still usable. It's just the entire system that utilizes them. And if the city does go to update them, they really need to increase the coverage area because the city has grown beyond the coverage area that was there. So I've always maintained that the sirens are a fantastic redundant system, but I don't feel like it's the best primary system. And if the city could find funding to, you know, maybe there's a, you know, there comes about a grant opportunity that we could pursue that would help.
Can we
us
ask the
through that.
grant writer if there is something
can.
like that? And also maybe get a estimated cost of what it would be like, you know, just an estimate, how much it would be to get them the digital way, because I know the old radio signal is outdated.
So tornado siren upgrades.
I do know you can
The
contact
sirens
FEMA
themselves
for
would remain
that.
the same. It's just
Sure.
how do you activate them?
Yeah.
Activation.
So McHenry County could put you in touch with the preferred, I guess, manufacturer that they use. And I've heard a lot of ups and downs, you like $50 ones for $8 or $6, you know, but you have to have the interest. You know, I'm sure they don't want to just cut a deal if only 100 people want to do it. Depends how far you guys want to go with it.
I should also introduce that I was recently contacted by an individual who would like to buy our sirens if the city ever decided to surplus property them. There is interest to purchase them from us, so. But I
At 10,000
rebuffed, you know, I rebuffed them, basically said, you know, still remains in city inventory. Council has not declared it surplus property, so I cannot sell it to you.
When did the city switch from doing their own activation to going to McHenry County?
When we switched to McHenry County, so probably about the time we decommissioned them.
Well, there was a period of time when, you know, so to activate them actually required pushing a button on this controller that was down in the basement of the old city hall. And
Who made that determination?
officer in charge on duty.
Okay.
So when NERCOM came about, NERCOM would, you know, I don't believe that we could activate it from NERCOM. They still had to contact the officer in charge to have someone go physically down in the basement and push the button. So that's kind of
Okay, because I thought somehow it was activated.
No,
By
I
a
think
radio
NERCOM
signal.
could suggest, hey, we need to activate this, but the system was still manual. My understanding, you still had to push the button that's on the control box that was mounted on the wall in
Somebody
City Council.
was able to hack in somehow
Right, so,
to,
so at the receiver, at the actual sirens, when you push the button, it would send a digital signal, or I should say a radio signal,
okay,
to activate the sirens.
okay.
Well, if you could mimic that radio
Oh,
signal,
gotcha.
you could activate the sirens, and that is exactly what was happening.
Okay.
So probably
So it's
VHF.
over RF. If you had a CB radio that was tuned to, or a ham radio that was tuned to that frequency, you got the tonal codes that came over, just like when they would activate the fire alarms
Yeah,
years
pagers.
ago. When those you record those tones and then play them again over an RF, off go the alarms. You only need to be within line of sight of the siren for it to hear it, to get the signal. So our police were chasing, could be anywhere within, line of sight of the siren to try and figure out who was setting them off. It was an impossible task, so.
Would be a ham radio enthusiast.
Perhaps.
There's a ton of information out there, even, with, at Public Works, I have a couple handheld radios I purchased off Amazon. They're $20 a piece, and if you know what frequencies to program them to, I can talk to anybody in Public Works. And all that stuff's Googleable.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else to say about that topic? All right, let's move on. Rush Creek Bike Path IGA. Should hopefully have read this. Anybody have any questions on it?
My main question was related to the budget. And do we have, so the 120, do we have that in the budget
Already?
already?
For this current fiscal year, we only budgeted 50,000. However, that won't be, we won't be spending that this current fiscal year anyway,
Okay.
based on the timing of the project.
Okay.
Rob, do you want to explain how the project's going to move forward?
I apologize, I'll try to keep my sniffles and grunts and stuff to myself. I'll try to keep them out of the microphone anyway. So we're applying for funding for these. We're going to be asking for help with some of that. So, but with that, that does take time. So I think county said if we put everything together, we'll have to go out for RFP, RFQ, or QBS,
QBS.
because we have to pick a consultant, so we'll have to do the QBS process, we'll have to hire a consultant, and then from there, we'll be able to start the phase ones. So there's gonna be some time that's involved with this.
So we're,
Our city engineer doesn't do this?
No, because this is federally funded, because it's gonna be grant funded, we're gonna try for grant funding, we need to follow the QBS policy.
they'll have an opportunity to bid on it.
I thought this was already grant funded.
Well, this is, so basically what happened was county has all the money to do this. They've been wanting to get this off the ground for years, but they don't have the staff. So they tried this in another municipality, and it's worked out decent. So they're bringing it to Harvard to try as well, as something that we reached out to them about.
And they did pay that, other municipality paid the 10%
Yeah,
as well?
yeah.
And the only reason why I'm asking is because, like, say, the road right behind my house is airport. It's in city limits. We don't pay the funding to resurface that road, county does.
Yeah.
Flatiron, the bridge, that's in city limits. County paid 100% of that, or grant money, whatever, but nothing with the city. County wants to do this. I get it that we're trying to help, but I don't get why.
Because they,
The engineering part isn't the big issue, it's once we get to the construction, that's the 3 million right now. That's not with
so
inflation.
this is what they want to do is if if a municipality wants to run with the project, so the county's gonna fund it. If a municipality wants to run with the project because we want it to move off the ground faster, then would they ask the municipality for some skin in the game? And normally it's like an 80-20 or greater because, county, they have the money, but they don't want to give it away. So what they're doing is they're saying, you guys want to move this forward, we'll let you run with the ball. We just want you to have some skin in it. So they actually have, projected to spend this directly out of their coffers. But what they want to do is they want to partner with Harvard, and then we apply for grants for phase 2, phase 3, to try to reduce the cost for everybody, so that if we
I
get a-
saw that on the IG.
Yeah, so if
But
we get a-
don't get the grants though,
well, I mean, we stand a good chance to get the grants because we're partnering with the county and we're a disadvantaged community. So one of those things.
so this one is a disadvantaged community. No offense, because I've heard, we've gotten grants because they were, and there's times we haven't gotten it because we aren't.
So,
Different grant programs.
yeah, different grant
Okay.
programs. So
We've
like
been very
the,
successful with our road.
Okay,
and
that's all, I'm just making sure.
transportation.
if we do get, say we get an 80-20 grant, then we're splitting the 20 with county, which ends up a lot better in our favor. And this will also tie into, moving forward with this puts us in a good position for doing the Route 14 sidewalks, because now we have another justification to say, hey, we have a path here. Like, we have access that dead ends here. We the only places that can access this are these subdivisions. So we really want to be able to tie it. So this is part of a bigger project. And then also, what municipality our size has a path tying 2 of its newest subdivisions to a conservation area? That's really cool. So I think, when we learned of this opportunity, this was something that we kind of, it's like, hey, is this going to sit on the shelf forever? Or, if we run with it, can we help you out? And that's sort of what spurred this whole thing.
Is our grant writer writing the grant? Who's writing the grant?
It would be a partnership with county when it comes to the grant.
It's going to be submitted through STP?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
So surface transportation.
okay.
So to answer your question, as far as the budgeting, we'll submit that in the upcoming fiscal year for phase 1.
Okay. Well, so just for the phase 1,
That would be all that'd be coming
Yeah,
after
that's
the
all that would be coming
'cause
up in the first fiscal year.
Fed projects for like phase 1s take 12 to 15
15
months right now.
months.
okay, because phase 1, okay, so phase 1, we actually have
Have the money.
budgeted.
This fiscal year, but we
50,000.
won't be using
Right.
that because it won't
Okay.
start before May 1.
Okay, so the phase 1 will need 50,000 and then phase 2, 70.
Correct.
Okay,
So
And-
basically, that'll go back to the zero-based budgeting and we'll just re-budget for it again. in May.
okay. And then what's the source, sorry if I missed it, the source of the grant?
It's federal, it's STP.
Yeah, it's surface transportation program.
Oh.
So it's the same thing that paid for Diggins, Diggins
both
repaving.
programs.
Yeah.
Okay. And so just so I have this straight, so the funding that the county has, that's not grant funding?
No, that's their,
That's
they
just
get that
their-
from, they get that from, I think they get that from like their RTA distribution.
Oh, okay.
It's like they have that money, but they
Okay.
said, obviously, like if they partner with Harvard and Harvard can score better on these grants,
Okay,
save us money.
okay, that makes sense.
And we're cohort 4, so.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? We got to vote, right?
Yeah, you should vote.
So if this is recommended to city council and it's passed on the 25th, then we can go ahead and advertise for the QBS and get rolling on the process.
Okay. Getting a motion to send this to city council for approval?
Make a motion to send the Rush Creek Bike Path Illinois intergovernmental agreement to the city council.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Yeah, you can do roll call.
Yes, roll call.
Yes,
Alderwoman Haderlein?
Yes.
because it's a contract, it should be roll call.
Alderman Perkins?
Yes.
Alderman Kriete?
Yes.
Alderman Lavallee? Yes. All ayes, motion carries to send the intergovernmental agreement for Rush Creek Bike Path to city council. for approval, hopefully. All right. Discussion, additional storm and sanitary lining between the Union Pacific right-of-ways. Rob?
All right. Excuse me, this is all me. So this is, every year the city puts aside some funding in recent years to do sewer lining. And a lot of it's typically sanitary lining to try to mitigate inflow and infiltration and bad areas in the pipe. So we're doing the I&I study, so that's still ongoing. But in the midst of that, last year during the budget process, we put aside about $70,000 for the lining project. In that time, in April, we had a storm sewer collapse beneath the bypass track by the train station. This tile is probably over 100 years old. We got very lucky. We got to hang out with some really cool maintenance workers, kind of sat around and, talked to us and just kind of, not a big deal, yep. We undermined a section of track, replaced 30 feet of main. This took like a week because we didn't know what we were getting into. We found a structure that was buried there for years. They said they used to call that area of the tracks Lake Harvard. And the whole time they buried a structure. So we unburied it. But when we were cammering the line, we looked towards, so this line, the one that there's an image of there where we have this replaced, this is smack dab under the train station. This goes beneath the main line tracks. This goes underneath the train station. It's not in great shape in the rest of it. So that begged the question, we haven't put any new sanitary beneath the railroad tracks in probably 100 years. I hate to use that number, but that's probably going to be pretty consistent. So we started looking at the rest of it, and there's not a lot that's confidence inspiring. So what I'd like to do is before it becomes a problem, if we line it, a lot of the stuff, it's old clay tile that's, just kind of fit together, or it's concrete, or, corrugated steel pipe if it's a storm drain. All of these things beneath a rumbling freight train or passenger trains, how many ever times a day, as soon as the Dutch boy takes his finger out of the dam, that thing's going to start caving in. It's going to make a big old sinkhole. So this was the concern with this. So I got the quantities together, pipe sizes, and I put it in with the MCMPI joint bid for sewer and sanitary lining. And it came back, it surprised me, but not as much as I thought it would. So in order to do everything, so we had the $70,000 we set aside originally. In order to do every sanitary sewer and storm sewer beneath the railroad tracks in Harvard, it'd be $154,546. So hearing that, I talked to Deb and said, I really do believe that this is very important. Do we have funding available to carry this forward, if so? And Deb said, we have the tap-on fund where we have money for things like this, and that we should bring it to this committee to see what everybody thought. I can tell you from limited experience with Union Pacific, things get ugly quickly, and it gets expensive quickly. So I have a feeling that $155,000 with 10%, just in case we run into anything unexpected, is a very fair bill to keep us out of trouble in the future by lining them.
Has the railroad mentioned anything?
They have not.
Have they been contacted and told about it, or?
They were the ones that actually told us about that sinkhole.
Right.
So.
Like where this could turn into a different direction?
Right.
That's what I'm asking.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is, we told them that, there's some stuff here that I'd like to get lined, I'd like to look at. So that's what we were kind of doing. And, I'd like to make sure that we don't end up on the wrong side of it.
Right.
And during this, if it were done, it's going to be no disruption to their services?
Because so basically it was structure to structure. So, we're not going to be digging in the right of way. We're not going to be shutting anything down. All this stuff can still happen while the trains are moving.
So, Deb, what are our plans, or what does this impact any of our plans for the funds in the tap-on?
So if you look at the, in the pack, or it wasn't in your packet, it was a supplement that I included. Yes, there's a spreadsheet of the, where the capital improvement fund for sewer water stands as of the 31st. No, it's this one.
It's
Oh,
underneath.
this one. Oh.
No, it's
Oh.
under, it's attached to that one.
Okay.
There, number 7.
Okay.
Yep. So this breaks down the account balance as of October 31st. What we've committed to is in pink. And a couple notes on this. The repair of the backhoe was originally budgeted at 20,000, and it's going to be about,
We'll be lucky to hit 5. You know, we already had the cylinders that were leaking repacked, so that was, I think, roughly $1,400, and then we're gonna have maybe $1,000 in lines and materials by the time we're done.
so right now we've spent about 2,000. The truck came in a little less, the utility truck, than we purchased, than we budgeted for. I think that we budgeted around 20 for that. If you look in the middle of the page, I have set aside 1 year's payments for the loan and the bond on the IEPA loan, just, for conservancy. And then I also had a $500,000 reserve for unforeseen or for upcoming projects in the capital improvement plan that we'd like to see out. Not quite sure where we're at on the Forest Downs Kennedy Loop. We're still trying to obtain an easement to complete that looping. So basically, after all of the committed expenses, we still have $702,000 to work with. So I think that, given Rob's opinion of getting this done before there's future problems, coming up with roughly $101,000 would be okay out of this fund to supplement with the $70,000 we've budgeted for.
Okay, thank you.
This is definitely an ounce of prevention
Yes.
versus a
Yes.
pound of cure.
And that's what this fund is for, right? For unforeseen and for other projects that, it's why we collect the additional water billing fees so that we can have
Right.
some of this maintenance done.
So
Just
we'll still
preventative
have
maintenance.
602,000.
Yes, yes.
600.
Land versus if that collapsed, what would be the direct impact,
I mean, if that collapsed and we ended up having to shut down a train line,
Right.
you're probably talking about per hour fees and fines and, then you're calling in the most expensive guy that's available that can excavate and,
Yeah.
it's bad,
You naturally ask, why weren't you more proactive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Right,
And now we kind of know about it.
right.
well, it's a good catch.
Somebody had a hubcap over that sinkhole for probably some time.
For a reason.
And we found, and I tell you what, I have pictures.
Well, I'll make the motion to reallocation of 100,000 from the tap-on fund to supplement the existing sewer lining budget and proceed with the project under the low bid from Hoyer Construction.
Oh, and I will make a note. So in my typing, I made an error. So the low bid is Performance Pipeline Incorporated, and I wrote it down as Hair Construction in the recommendation. So
Oh, okay.
it
Yes.
is
What Rob said
Yeah.
to that contractor.
Performance
Alderman
Pipeline.
Perkins, could we have 101,000 so that we can have a 15%, or I'm sorry,
10%.
10% contingency?
Okay, 101,000,
Thank you.
and nothing over.
I'll try.
All right, I'll second. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Alderman Kriete,
Yes.
Alderman Perkins,
Yes.
Alderwoman Haderlein,
Yes.
Alderman Lavallee, yes. All ayes, motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is strategic vision. Really didn't have that much on here, but I did remember from the last meeting that we were going to change that one milestone regarding the 3 times street improvements. Street improvements increased by 3 times beginning in 2025. We were going to change that because of the bond.
Yes, I pretty sure I did that, and you will have not seen it yet because we're having issues getting those updates up on the website in a format that's actually makes sense readable, but we're still working on it. Lori's coming in part-time to try to help us with some of that, but I will double check to make sure I did make that change.
Okay.
And you should see that she's got 2 pages to go, so you should see that in the near future updated on the website.
All right. Did anybody have anything else on the strategic vision that they wanted to
No.
chat about? Okay. All right. All right. Let's see here. New business. Deb, this is where can you go over this? Or no?
Yes, updates to the, all of our projects in progress. We had quite a lengthy meeting yesterday.
did.
With the city engineer. And the,
A good one?
yes, it was
Yeah.
actually very good. The handout you have in the blue is all of Gary's notes and kind of a description of the activity, what's been done overall with all of our projects, not just our road projects, but our lead line inventory, our wells, some things out at Turtle Crossing. But I did actually take and do a second supplement to that labeled new business that has a breakdown of where our sidewalk and road projects are, the funding, and some updates on where those will be in the next couple of years. So we can go through those one by one if you'd like, and Rob can have his input as well
Yeah, that'd
on
be
the
great.
status of those.
Are these in the same order?
They're not.
Okay.
No, I put the supplement that I did, I put sidewalks on the first page, the current road/bridge projects on the second page, and then the other projects on the third. And then the fourth page is the project that we need to discuss in a little more
We'll
detail.
just have to move around, that's all.
Yeah.
To look at Gary's notes versus.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so starting off with the Marengo Road Bridge over Rush Creek, we are doing the emergency inspection still until we get construction started. So construction's going to start most likely in 2027, after we'll try to let the bridge and the road at the same time. But until then, we have to do those special inspections. Right now, nothing's further deteriorating. IDOT came back out and reevaluated how many signs I had out to warn people, and they had us put another one out in the spring, or in the summer. So we got that done. So we have 2 of those next year, and hopefully those are the last 2. Lead water service line inventory plan, the report was submitted to the IEPA. Still waiting comments back, anything basically dealing with government goes a little slower, especially IEPA stuff that's very meticulous. So we're still waiting for comments back. If you haven't done your lead service line inventory, this is a great opportunity to do so. If you have a lead service line and you are on our inventory, you can get it replaced for free if you let us know you have one. So, next up is the IEPA loan application. This is to do additional work as far as the replacing the lines and getting things taken care of with that. So this is using an additional $40,000 to pay for potholing services. There's a lot of places where it's galvanized or it's copper in the house, and we don't know what the other side is. Now, IEPA doesn't tell us that we have to go around doing this. We have ran into one of these. We ran into another one on the end of Thompson just recently. There's a nice big long one. We're working on, if you see, we got some holes over there opened up. We just replaced that line and retapped the main. But this is for additional money to see what we have. I do not believe that we have 1,300 lead services in the city of Harvard. However, if we don't know what it is, it has to be called lead. So that puts us in a different bucket.
How many have been identified so
It's
far?
like 5 or 6 at
Really?
most. Yeah, but I think the last time I looked at it, we had roughly, somewhere in the neighborhood of 300. And, that survey went out multiple times, been pushed multiple times. And, I'm still willing to, I have people call up, older populations and say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes.
And, some people I can say, go to this website, it'll walk you through, it'll step by step. Take this picture, look at this, does this do this? But ultimately, I say, if you would still feel like you want to have somebody from Public Works come down, we will. And at that point in time, if we're in your basement, we're going to change your MXU, we're going to take a look at your water meter and make sure you're all shipshape.
Kill a few birds with one stone.
Absolutely. I mean, we try to
Full
change.
service.
Yeah, we try to change 100 MXUs a year, and while we're there, it's a great opportunity for anybody. You have it's like when you have a friend who's an electrician or a plumber, and all of a sudden here they are in front of you, and you have the water guy sitting in front of you. Like, well, what about this? And it's a great PR tool. So, standby generator. I believe they are readying to pour the pad
Yes.
from what we talked about earlier.
According to Mr. Rousey, hopefully by the end of the month.
So hopefully they have concrete blankets. Next is the Diggins Street resurfacing Phase 3. So this is, this has been done, but from what Gary has said, we're still waiting on final closeout docs from the contractor. If they can't produce us the closeout docs we need, we're just going to say, well, this is what we're going to pay you, basically. So Route 173 sidewalk Phase 2 design. So this is the sidewalk that goes along Route 173. So this is where they have to add the 4 extra box culverts to get the width there. So there's going to be some grading and some land act that has to happen with that. So that's moving on to the next phase. Once CBEL will begin the contract once the notice to proceed is in hand. Everybody good? So Diggins Sumner Phase 1, this is to do the rest of Diggins, coming down Sumner and going all the way to Route 14. So funding agreements were sent to IDOT. Everything's been delayed. IDOT's still dragging. So once that gets done, Phase 1 is going to be done in 2026, Phase 2 in 27, and construction in 28. One thing that came up was discussing how to do improvements to Eastman, because there was questions on whether or not we were going to do Eastman, but I think in previous council meetings, we've talked about, we're going to treat Eastman as if we're not going to be able to get to it, and if we get to Eastman, then we'll address it when we get there. We'll stick to the road program stuff, or road stuff for infrastructure. Marengo Road Rehabilitation Phase 2. So this is for the next phase in Marengo Road. So this is Marengo Road and Marengo Road Bridge. We're hoping that these end up going at the same time. I think what Gary had said is the road project will probably be ready for construction just before winter, which will mean it has to wait for a spring or a summer construction, which means the bridge will have time to catch up. So we're shooting for a spring letting of 2027 for a summer construction with the specifications that, this happens while school is out. There will be construction access to those landlocked ones, or landlocked houses in the school. It's just not going to be ideal.
There'll be a detour put in place for all other traffic.
Yeah.
To go 14 to Airport Road.
Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at on those two. Now for Marengo Road, Ayer Street Sidewalk Phase 2, pre-final plans were sent into IDOT on October 28th. So they're looking for a floodway permit and McHenry County stormwater permit, and they're going to be submitted mid-November. So they're working on that now, and we're hoping for an April 2026 letting. So this is the sidewalk that we're going to end up removing a bunch of those maple trees that are kind of old and gross and not really in good condition. So we're going to help with our maple percentage.
And they're actually going to plant more trees than they take out?
Yes.
So there actually be more trees
Yes.
Along that route.
And we did tell Gary in the meeting, Gary had that vision of the Norway maple and the Freeman maple and how it's going to be yellow and red and yellow and red. And I told Gary, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but we can't plant maples.
No more maples.
So he begrudgingly sent me the list.
I must miss it. Why can't we plant maybe?
So in the tree board meeting, they had a discussion about the tree inventory, and we are
With the max.
20% over what we should have, 15 to 20% over what we should have for maples.
But like half of our public trees are maples.
Yeah, the problem with that is like the Dutch elm, you know, like when I look at an aerial, and I'll make this short, when I look at an aerial of Harvard from the 60s, trees everywhere. But when the Dutch elm came through, it wiped us out.
Oh, yeah.
So, and if something happens with the maples,
The same thing happened.
Yeah.
Certain areas had a lot of ash trees and gone, so.
so that covers the bridge and Marengo Road. So moving on to the Route 14 sidewalk Phase 1 report. Kickoff meeting was held, environmental was submitted to IDOT, field survey is going to be in October. They're going to figure out the layout. This is going to be, we're going to have to figure out where we're going to put it, how it's going to interact with businesses, telephone poles, infrastructure, you know, and what that looks like. So we'll submit for CMAQ funding in October of '26. Let's see here. Those are, so funding applications, one of the things that we were talking about is the next steps and what to do. And one of the things was sort of trying to figure out where we're going to go now with Marengo Road and determining what next steps are. So one of the things we want to do is the rest of Marengo Road from Airport to 173 has been untouched. And a lot of it, you know, we're going to have sidewalks on the north, we're going to have a bike path and sidewalks, you know, on the south, everything's going to be nice. So in this middle, we're looking to see if we can get some funding for Marengo Road. Using STP funding to resurface, it's 50-50, 50-50, and 80-20. But due to what I assume is an error, if you reconstruct, it's 100% you, 50-50, 80-20. So we're going to see if there's a way that we can ask if they can change that.
For phase 1, they're offering zero match.
Yeah.
Everything else.
So, we're gonna ask them to look at that again. So whether or not we're successful or not, is one thing. Phase 2 in construction, there's still a match available, but for phase 1, which is about 14% of this project, I think the estimated cost to do the project from between Airport Road and 173, which would include a total reconstruction of the road, putting in storm sewer, a sidewalk, and a bicycle path, was on the neighborhood 3.1.
That's on page 4 of your supplemental packet.
Oh, thank you. This is going off.
Page 4 and
memory.
5.
So what that would do is then, you know,
3.7 million.
so that would give, that would finish out the bike path on the west side. It would put a sidewalk in on the east side, and it would connect, you know, a lot of the infrastructure that we're making. You know, there's going to be a bike path that goes out to Rush Creek. You know, why not have a bike path that'll lead the rest of downtown to Rush Creek?
And so it would actually result in a sidewalk on one side of Marengo Road,
A sidewalk and a bike path,
sidewalk and a bike path.
possibly.
So, and you would connect all of the south with the northern part of town with pedestrian traffic. We don't have that today.
So we're going to be trying to seek some funding for that. Lions Park Path is complete. They did all the grading. Everything looks good out there. I'm just waiting for final billing. If you have a chance to go walk it, it's a beautiful, nice walk, especially in the fall.
Not right now.
It's not bad. There's no bad weather. There's just bad dress for the weather. Air Street resurface, so citywide rehabilitation. They're doing the studies complete, and we got the data back from that, and we're using that. Air Street resurfacing, it is complete. They had a couple of those punch list items that they were taking care of, and they finished a couple valve adjustments, and they should be good to go. I'm gonna have another talk with Brent, and hopefully we get a final bill. Timber Drive hot in place recycling, this was talked about at the last Transportation Committee meeting. This will be put together this winter for a spring construction. We're going to try to let this at the same time as the road program. So that way we can possibly, the road program is going to be done with the bond and, our money. The Timber Drive's the same thing, but maybe the same contractor wants it. Maybe there's a couple of different ones. But if we put it all at the same time, maybe we'll get an economy of scale. Right. 2016 road program, so this is what we were talking about with the bond. And then we're down to the IDOT Public Act grant applications. These are the ones where IDOT basically said, we got a pile of money, who wants in? We didn't get any of them. We applied for Oak Grove Road between us and Chemung Township. And we also applied for Brink Street between us, Heartland Township, Chemung Township, Alden Township, and Heartland Township. We didn't get that, and we didn't get Garfield Road. And I swear, we put like 2 weeks of work redoing the ditches on Garfield. I thought that was gonna be the shoe-in. You know, we finally fixed the drainage, now we're gonna get the whole thing rebuilt. But as much as I have my fingers crossed, no such luck. So, back to the drawing board.
Kind of ridiculous who got those grants.
Well,
I don't want to say anything publicly, but.
no, I will do ask,
We
because
just
that does ask me, remind me a question, Mayor. Is there understanding about how they're reallocating next budget for these MFTs for the RTA? We still should be good because we're part of McHenry County, right?
We are. We're
Okay.
part of the RTA.
So we won't lose any.
We shouldn't lose anything
Okay.
about that.
All right.
I can't definitively say we won't. but we
Okay,
should not.
that's, because I mean, I was wondering about that when I saw that.
All right, and the last thing for roads and infrastructure is the airport road bike path, which we talked about tonight.
Nice.
I didn't notice. Our skid patch got done?
It did?
It's nice to drive on Ringo Road.
We missed it too.
Drive Fifth Street. It's a lot smoother than it used to.
Fifth Street, Harvard Hills, Crowley, Dewey,
Crowley, yeah.
Kennedy, all those utility cuts around the lift station. Marengo. Dewey and Kennedy, it's probably, we're probably gonna have to bank that corner, because I think now everybody can actually do the speed down that road.
Yeah, so
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
when my pager goes off.
No, the Schroeder came in, they did excellent work, they were in, out, they ground everything out, put binder down, day one, day two, they went around, put surface on. So, and I really, other than some, I think we had a couple people on Facebook saying that they didn't like the truck traffic or didn't understand it, and once I explained it, all was good.
Awesome.
Okay, anybody
Thanks, Rob.
else have any new business?
I have some updates from Director Rousey. Tower 2 painting is done. The piping to well 6 is in progress. That should be finished by the end of this week, and he's expecting the filter media at well 6 to begin next week.
Awesome.
I noticed all that aggregate that's sitting down there by the water tower. Is that for
That's probably for the piping work.
next year?
Yeah.
No, it's like, it looks like for sandblasting or something.
Oh, the bags?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the sandblasting media,
Yeah.
or is it for the filters?
that's
The
for
iron
That's
filters?
probably for the filters, because they're going to start that Monday, I believe.
We are 3 feet away from the sanitary manhole on the forced sanitary main. So we have everything located but 3 feet. I think we can work that out.
That's all I have for his department.
Great. Anybody else got any new business?
Nope.
Motion adjourned?
Second.
I didn't make the motion, but I guess I will.
I'm telling you.
I said I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So was that Lavallee Perkins?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Let's end the stream.
Went off by 5 minutes.